My name is Raina Rose Exelbeard, and I am the CEO, Chief Empowerment Officer of The Rose Grows. To all my friends out there, what's up? And for those of you, if this is your first episode, it's nice to meet you. Hello, welcome to the Rose Grows podcast. I'm here with a very special friend, Amanda Markowitz.
It's so nice to finally meet in person.
I feel like we've already been friends for years via social media, and here we are finally in person. But it's like I know you, which has been my life for the last 2.5 years. All these friends through activism.
Yeah,
You finally meet in person, and it's this beautiful connection. So
I kind of think too, like the power in connection is it's almost like when you connect over values, you just kind of like have this connection.
bond.
Yeah, it's an instant bond. And I have to say too, as descendants of Holocaust survivors, there's also like another kind of kismet bond
Yeah.
you feel when you meet other survivors.
It's true.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your grandparents and their Holocaust survival story.
Oh, well, there's a lot there. So all 4 of my grandparents are Holocaust survivors. 3 out of the 4 were in Auschwitz, and 1 was a partisan, which means he was fighting in the forest against the Nazi regime. It's pretty cool and badass.
Yeah, we'll take that.
With tanks and all this crazy stuff. So super cool. Really proud of him.
And for people listening, like the people who were partisans who fought against the Nazis, like they literally snuck away and lived their entire life like in even more danger.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And honestly, unfortunately, he passed before I was born. So I feel like I don't know a lot of his story, whereas my other 3 I was close to, so I knew their stories more.
Mm-hmm.
But I would have loved to know more about that life because it's so fascinating to me. It's something I don't know as much about. I know more about concentration camps than I do about the partisans. So that's something to explore more of. Anyway, so yes, they are all survivors, which is something I'm super proud of. And they each have an incredible story of resilience. I mean, I could get into so many. They each, I think, came out of it very differently. My maternal grandmother, my Nana, Tonya, she had been very religious before the war. Her family was very religious. And then she, during the war, while she was in concentration camp, including various camps, she was at about 5 different camps throughout, including Auschwitz, she had these moments of, where is God? It was very hard for her to continue her belief in God. My grandpa, her husband, they met at Bergen-Belsen.
Wow.
When he came looking for his sister. So my Nana Tonya was bunkmates with these, there were 4 women, and they were all very close. They became like sisters. One of them was Tamara, and Tamara always said to my Nana, my brother would be perfect for you. And
During the war, even during the war, they were trying to set each other up.
doing shit.
Yeah, and that's who we are. Talk about resilience.
But no, he came after the war looking for his sister. So people were, kind of going to different camps looking for their family members. The concentration camps became displaced persons camp. So my Nana was there with these women, Tamara, Ella, and Astosha. And my Papa Nate came looking for his sister Tamara. And when he saw her, she fainted because she thought he had died. My Nana was there, and they met, and Tamara had been right, and they ended up getting married pretty quickly, and that's
Wow.
how they met. And then
It makes you wonder how many places he went to looking for the sister before he actually found her.
His story of looking for her is insane. He stole a bike from a store and rode his bike for miles and miles and miles to get to her. He had just survived himself, but he was not in a great place, but he had to find his sister.
Right.
So he went on this crazy journey to get to her.
Wow.
And when he got there, this is what happened. So It's incredible. And he wasn't as religious, so then she didn't become as religious after the war, more secular. And her brother survived also, and he went to Israel and was very religious. He had 14 kids. Their kids had 14, 15 kids. So totally different lives.
Yeah. It's almost like for one, the experience made them feel closer to God, but for some other survivors, the Holocaust made them feel more distance from
I
God.
think that trauma manifests very differently in different people. And it's very fascinating to me how people come out of trauma.
Yeah.
And my dad's mom, she wouldn't tell her story as much. My papa always talked about it. He had a number on his arm because he was at Auschwitz. And so I don't really remember not knowing about the Holocaust as a kid because we saw his number, we'd ask questions, and he was very open with his stories, and he has some really crazy stories. So my dad's mom, Lily, didn't talk as much about it until she was in her 90s, and I really asked her questions, a lot of questions, because it was COVID, and I would go to her every Shabbat, even though, for a while no one saw her, and I think it was very hard for her emotionally.
Yeah.
And after a while, I was like, I'm not doing this. So every Friday I'd go with my daughter, who was 1.5 at the time, and we'd go every Shabbat to see her, and it was really special.
Do you think having children challenged you to have that conversation with your grandmother before she passed? Or do you think, like, what pushed you to finally, like, ask the questions?
I just needed to know. And so I'd hit record on my phone. I put it on the couch. She didn't know, and I asked her question.
That's okay.
And I did get her to give her testimony to the Holocaust Museum LA after that.
That's a major.
My other two grandparents, my mom's parents, both did the Shoah Foundation with Steven Spielberg. So I have hours of their footage, which is amazing and such a gift.
Yeah.
And my bubby stayed very religious. I asked her how she believed in God through it. She's the sole survivor of her family. Her brother and sister were murdered. Her parents died. Her mom unfortunately died before the war. Her father was murdered in Auschwitz. But so she had a really difficult story. And she said if she didn't believe in God, she wouldn't be able to make it through. So her faith was strong. And so my grandparents had very different experiences with their spirituality and connection with religion throughout the war and after. And then, my other grandpa was partisan. So I don't know. There's a lot of really amazing stories. I'm like, I could give you stories.
Yeah.
Here, I'll give you one of my favorite stories. So my papa was at Auschwitz, and someone stole a potato peel off the ground, and the soldiers saw and said, all of you line up. And they put about 30 men in a line, and they counted 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, all the way down. And then they said, if you're number 3, come out of line. So 10 men came out of line. They marched them to the forest and said, dig 4 by 5. They're digging their graves, obviously. It was very cold, so they took them, it was really hard to dig. And my papa, there was a dog, a German Shepherd, barking. And my papa said to the soldier in German, your dog's hungry. And the soldier said, you filthy Jew, take my dog to the kitchen and get it something to eat. And he did that. And after he found out that all those men were murdered and put into the graves they had just dug. Wow. And he survived.
Because he was in the kitchen.
Because he said to the German, your dog's hungry, and from the forest march back to the kitchen to feed the dog. I mean, the soldier didn't have to say that to my grandpa. My grandpa didn't have to say that to the soldier. I mean, it's just these crazy stories of survival. I believe in whatever you believe in, higher power, coincidence, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But so he loved dogs. It's the dog interview of the Bible to this dog. He loved dogs, and I love dogs so much, and it's like genetic. And my uncle, his son, had a German Shepherd growing with his kids, and everyone would say, your father survived the Holocaust, your father, mother, how do you have a German Shepherd? And he'd say, a German Shepherd saved my dad's life.
Wow.
So
you see, this is such a powerful story.
So,
and what I take from that story too is acts of kindness. It was like, he was trying to do something kind, even for a German soldier, like your dog is hungry. And it just goes to show that, like, in the South, we have a saying, like, get them with kindness.
Yeah.
And through saying, like, let me help you with your dog, he wasn't even thinking about, everybody over here is dying and now you're leaving with the dog. He was just thinking, oh, my dog's hungry.
Yeah. I mean, when he arrived at Auschwitz, he saw his best friend there as an SS soldier, as a Nazi. His best friend from childhood.
His best friend from childhood wasn't Jewish?
No.
And became a Nazi?
Mm-hmm. Because his father made him become a Nazi. So when he got there...
Oh, so the best friend was Jewish?
No.
Not Jewish. Okay, that makes sense.
He was a German.
Okay.
And not Jewish. And it was his best friend growing up in school. And he showed up to Auschwitz, and there he was in uniform. And my grandpa was a prisoner. And it actually helped save his life, too, because he gave him a really good job of going into the different barracks and spraying them with chemicals when there was an outbreak of typhus or something,
right,
to clean it. And so none of the soldiers wanted to get near him because they thought he was like dangerous because he had all these chemicals.
Yeah.
So it kept him away. And it also, he would take extra bread to the different like women's camps or people that needed food. He would do that. And
the
so
Nazi or your
grandpa?
Wow.
To help other people. And it was, I don't know if you can call it kind or whatever you want to call it, but his best friend did give him this job intentionally and it helped him survive. So that is an act of kindness. It's just a very crazy situation where you show up and you're a prisoner and your best friend is a Nazi.
You think you know someone?
Yeah, I guess. And my grandma, when she showed up at Auschwitz, she was in the train for 3 days, 3 nights. I mean, people were dying on the trains to Auschwitz. And when she got out, she saw women, very skinny women, behind a fence. And she had been holding on to this piece of bread for 3 days to try to make it last. And she threw the bread over the fence to these women. That is an act of kindness. She was starving herself. And she decided as a teenager to give her bread to these other women and share it with them. And so I think those moments are so powerful to me. And just these moments of kindness. Like there was a soldier named White Hans, and he'd give a little extra food to my grandma, and she really remembered him because when he'd be on duty, they all were so relieved that he was there, and he would be a little kinder than the other guards. And so these are stories that stuck with her and stick with me. And, there's so many stories, but one day the soldiers told this group of women, you're going to get on a boat and go to Sweden and you're done. Everything's okay. Like, you're going to get on a boat and go to Sweden. And were taking hundreds of women on this boat to Sweden. And one woman was like, I can't go. I'm injured. It was too hard for me. And they said, okay, we'll pick one other person to stay back with you, which is weird. And she chose my grandma because my grandma had grown up on the same street, in the same town. And they'd been in the ghetto together. And she remembered my grandma. So she picked her to stay back. And then all those hundreds of women were sent on a boat to Sweden, which they were never going to. And they were all murdered and thrown in the ocean.
Oh my gosh.
So that's a story of survival of my grandma.
Yeah.
That I don't know what you want to attribute it to. Again, if you're spiritual or if you're, look at the kindness of that woman or chance or coincidence. So I just have endless stories.
Yeah. It kind of like, I don't make Holocaust analogies, but I recently read Eli Sharabi's book, Hostage. And the way that you're talking about how, some of your family members, like, they would recognize, like, when the kinder guards were there and when they weren't. It's very similar for a lot of the hostages in Gaza.
Yep. And that's why I feel like I can, relate a little more to them. And, like, when I interview people, it gives me a level of sensitivity and empathy and understanding. And I feel like I ask questions that maybe people are scared to ask because I've grown up with so many survivors surrounding me. I know when they can be, pushed to answer hard questions. I know when you need to let go and be a little more sensitive. And I feel like being a descendant of survivors helps me better connect to people who have gone through trauma, and
Totally.
definitely like the hostages
Yeah.
have very similar Holocaust type stories.
I also think with the Holocaust survivor population, there's something to be said about when a young person that's not related to them is asking them questions.
Oh, absolutely.
Sometimes they mentally, social, and emotionally let go of some of the boundaries and the walls that they keep up around their family to.
Yes, I would say also that third generation, like my grandparents opened up way more to me than their own kids, than the two Gs, than my parents, because it's different talking to a kid than a grandkid. There's a different level of sensitivity. The relationship between a grandparent and grandkids is very special, and there's a different bond than with your child. So my grandparents talked to us, and I asked questions more than my parents did. So there's something about the third generation that I think we
like to rock the boat.
yeah, and we also, I think, have gone through more social emotional stuff.
Yeah.
And are more open to conversations.
About those feelings and challenges. Yeah.
Therapy in my parents' age? Like, what? That was not a thing.
Yeah.
And now everyone our generation is in therapy. So it's
Yeah.
a very different situation. My mom, I remember, was like, when I was younger, I had told her I wanted to maybe speak to a therapist, and she said, "Why didn't you speak to a therapist? You just talk to me."
When I told my mom in high school I wanted us to go to therapy, she was like, "You just need to learn to follow the rules." She's like, "I'm fine. You need to learn to follow the rules."
Generational gap when it comes to social emotional and therapy and self-help.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
They definitely opened up more to the grandkids. And
Yeah. So what kind of advice do you have for people when it comes to talking to kids under 10 years old about anti-Semitism and some of the things we're seeing in the world today? And why is it important for parents who aren't Jewish to also be thinking about having some of these conversations with their kids?
So there's multiple things.
Lay it on me, says.
Lay it on you. So I have 3 young kids. I have an almost 7-year-old, a 4.5-year-old, and a 10-month-old. And so very different ages and, level of comprehension. Obviously, my 10-month-old. But my 7-year-old just started asking questions recently. I would say, in general, they're more aware than you realize. Kids are listening to everything. In the past couple of years, we have been so collectively traumatized by what's happening with the rising anti-Semitism. They feel it. As much as we think we're hiding it, they know. They see posters. They see things. They're listening to us talking. They hear the news. So I just feel that you can't lie to them. You always have to tell the truth, because you'd rather them hear it from you than some other person at school.
Yeah.
So sorry, the other parents who might hear about Hitler from my kid at school, but
You should have told him.
I'm going to be the first to tell my own kid. That's on you.
Yeah.
So if my kid tells you about Hitler and the Holocaust, sorry and not sorry.
Don't worry, my kid's not going to ruin Christmas and say Santa's not real. But however, he might bring up Hitler.
Exactly. Sorry. No different from Haman, really.
Yeah.
I learned about Purim story. So I equated it to the Purim story, actually.
Wow.
My oldest was in the car. We were in the car driving to school with my almost 7 and 4.5-year-olds driving to school. And she had just gotten a Jewish calendar for Hanukkah. She'd been asking for a calendar. So we did this really cute Jewish calendar with different dogs every month. It was a really sweet gift I got from someone, and I'll have to share it with you or anyone who wants it. It's really, really, seriously, really, really cute.
If you love dogs and you want to know what date it is, this calendar is for you.
It's really cute. Seriously. And so it has different holidays in it. And she was going through the calendar in a car, and she just says, "Mommy, what's International Holocaust Remembrance Day?" And I had always thought that I'd be asked by my kids, or I'd have the conversation one day. I didn't think it would be so soon. And so I said, I want to tell you, you're the great-grandchildren of 8 Holocaust survivors. That's a miracle. You are miracles, both of you. And not a lot of people are great-grandchildren of all 8 survivors. And I said, throughout history, there are people who don't like the Jews, and it's not nice, and they're not kind to Jewish people. And so there was a man named Hitler, and he didn't like Jewish people. And it's very similar to Haman in the Purim story. They didn't like Jewish people, and the Jewish people came out of it, and they survived and became very proud. And it's an important story to understand. And I gave more details. She asked questions, which I was honest about. And then I heard her say to my 4-year-old, and that's why it's so important to be Jewish. And it was...
You didn't traumatize her. You empowered her.
Exactly. Yeah. And I was like, my work is done. I'm an amazing mother.
Yeah.
So it was really cool. And so I would just say, tell them the truth. They can handle more than you think they can.
Yeah.
And don't lie. Obviously, you got to do it age appropriate. What I'm going to say to my nieces and nephews who are 14 is, I'm going to say that 6 million Jews were murdered, probably more. Yeah, we talk about the hostages. Yeah, we talk about the 1,200 people that were murdered on October 7th. We talk about it in detail. They're 14 years old.
Right.
Different. Not going to tell my 7-year-old that, but when she goes to school or when she's around and she sees Bring Them Home and she sees pictures of posters, she's going to have questions.
Per your point, I have a cousin who, one of her younger kids after October 7th, he started sleeping on her floor. And when they asked, like, what's the deal? He was like, I don't want the monsters to come get me. And so the parents said to their child, the monsters aren't going to come get you. They don't hurt people your age. And he said, you're lying. Yep. I've seen the posters. I've seen the flyers. Yep. I like in the story how you shared how she connected it to Purim. For me, like, the Jewish holidays have always been like a traditional thing. But since October 7th, every holiday took on like such a deeper meaning. Adding a seed at Passover, thinking about...
They saw that. My kids saw that. I'm not going to lie. They see that. And I told them that people who don't like Jews went into homes, and some people weren't Jewish, went in and kidnapped them. And were trying to get them all home. And, they would sing at temple and school a song about bringing them home. So they know.
Yeah.
And I can only shield so much. There are certain things I'm going to say differently than I would an older child.
Right.
But bottom line, not going to lie.
Yeah.
In terms of people saying things to children that aren't Jewish, I think it's really important. We're 0.2% of the population. We can't do this alone. We need our allies, and we need the future generation to stand on the right side of history. So I think that part of the population is incredibly important. And in many ways more important. I think there's two things. We need to raise very proud Jewish children, very proud, so that they stay with us and raise their children proud and not just Jewish, but Zionists.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important to really raise them with that understanding. And it's also important to continue to have allies.
Yeah.
Because we have a phenomenal, supportive Christian base, and there are millions of people, and I'm forever grateful for them. I'm so grateful for allies, and I hope they're teaching their children, because those are going to be my children's allies.
Right.
And also, it's just important to teach our children about humanity in general.
Bingo.
My daughter also asked me about Martin Luther King Jr. Day when she was going in the calendar.
Who was a Zionist, by the way.
Yeah, so I told her. You better believe I told her.
Zorro.
Yeah. So I told her. I said, she had learned about Martin Luther King in school. So I said, remember last year you did that project? She said, oh yeah. And I explained how people didn't like Black people. People still are not kind, and that they had different water and they had to sit differently on the bus, and they went to different schools. And I said, and I want you to know the sign said no Black people and no Jews. Jewish people and Black people stood together.
Yeah.
Always. And I said, and that's why our relationship with Black people is very important.
Yeah.
And the Jewish people and the Black people have to stick together. And I said that to her. And I hope that sticks with her. And so I'm not a Black person, but that's me inspiring humanity in my child for other ethnicities, for other religions, for just humanity in general.
Yeah.
So to me, I think that's a big gift you can give our children, so that they can better create a better world for the future. So
Yeah.
yes, everyone should be teaching their children about anti-Semitism, and they should be teaching their children about racism, xenophobia, all kinds of things.
So I think kind of what I'm getting from you, and I don't have kids of my own, but it's, you know, when connecting tough topics in the world, it's how do we relate it to something that they already understand? And depending on the situation, how can we maybe even on a small scale have some sort of action in our life that's showing that we are connected to this thing?
Yes.
Whether it's
Yeah.
looking at the news or, you know, with Jewish people, it was wearing a tag or
Yeah, I wore a tag every day. I wore a yellow ribbon every day, which I very sad I don't have on right now because we still have one hostage that we need home. But they saw it.
it kind of reminds me, and I don't want to like predict your childhood, but I feel like our childhood was similar in that it kind of reminds me of like growing up watching my parents, my father's commitment to Holocaust education, you know, and as you're describing this, I'm like imagining like your kids are seeing like really powerful modeling.
Well, I keep thinking about how when I was growing up, my dad was always going to these events, these different Jewish events and Israel events. And I always would say, oh, why are you going out again? What are you going to? And I don't think and missing bedtime always. And then now that's what's happening to me. My kids told someone I work for Israel. And you're the one getting $7,000 a post. She said, no, that's how ringers get started. It's fine. I'm not getting any money. But I will fully admit I'm no money. So I just think it's so interesting. You know, when I go to an event, they're always like, "Oh, you're missing bedtime again. Why are you going to another event for Jewish things and Israel stuff?" And I'm like, and I say, this is very important. It's very important. And so it reminds me of my dad and that continuation, Vador, generation. And I hope that my kids have that experience with their children and they'll remember, oh yeah, remember it.
I don't know why I just remembered this, but I think I was like 8 or 9. And like every Yom HaShoah, we would do like this big program in Memphis, like similar to your grandparents with the Lodge group.
Yeah.
My grandparents.
You're from Lodge?
So not from Lodge, but in Memphis, we had like a survivor group. Yeah, no.
When we had the Lodge Club.
Yeah, no. We are not from that shtetl.
Okay.
But what was I gonna say?
In Memphis, you had.
Oh, I remember when I was like 8 or 9 years old. So every year we did this Yom HaShoah, and like, you know, I'm in the 3G choir. But I remember, I thought I was an amazing singer. So I asked one of my friends, I'm like, what songs? Right? I'm like, hey, well, do you want to be in this event? Like, do you want to, you know, there's this big event. Like, do you want to be in the choir with me? And I remember my dad sitting me down and he was like, you can't invite other people to be in the choir. Like, this is specifically for people. Yeah, I didn't really like at a young age, like I almost didn't like fully understand. And then as I got older, I realized like it's a responsibility. Like it's not,
it's a really heavy responsibility. It's a heavy responsibility, but I'm so proud to have that responsibility.
Yeah.
But also it's really cool you're in a 3G choir. I know I just laughed, but I mean, music is so integral to our culture and to so many cultures. And what a beautiful way to come together and you connect through music. So I actually
you could borrow that idea, and it's cute. You know, you see like everybody like grow up like through the years. But I will say, Memphis, we have about 10,000 Jews.
Wow.
What's really special when it's Yom HaShoah, everything shuts down. Like when I was growing up, the entire JCC shut down. Like they held it in the social of the JCC, but like every Jewish organization, it's one of the few events where you really see that everyone in the community like comes out for. I have a little bit of a controversial take on Holocaust education. So when we were talking earlier about like allies, you know, as a Jewish community, and you won't hurt my feelings if you disagree with me, but I think as a Jewish community, one of the biggest mistakes we've made in Holocaust education is not including other populations who were affected by Hitler in our memorial,
Vermont,
continuing education.
disabled people.
Exactly.
So
The
that's-
LGBTQ population.
I do talk about that stuff.
But as an institution, we should have been inviting lay leaders from these organizations and educating them for the last 50 plus years.
I fully agree.
I feel like part of why we're in the situation we are today on college campuses is because we didn't educate their parents. And just another thing, controversial, not controversial. Part of like the other challenge I see like in the Jewish education world is we're hitting the same schools. We're hitting the same people. We're not really broadening the base. Like, yes, it's important to speak to people outside of our community, but if you're only speaking in the same 15 cities every year, you're only speaking in the same 18 schools every year, how much of an impact are we really making? And like, just to add to that, we had a situation many years ago in South Florida where there was a principal who, like, a parent called because they were upset that it wasn't mandatory, the Holocaust class, whatever it was. And he was trying to be politically correct, but he wrote this letter and he was like, as a black man, I can't really say if slavery actually happened. And because of that, I also can't force a child to take this Holocaust class because who am I to say if the Holocaust actually happened? So, of course, the headline that makes it in the media is principal at most popular Boca Raton Public High School denies Holocaust, right? So that's the first headline. And then everyone's memeing this guy at Auschwitz. It should
be about slavery too.
So let me take a step back. At this school, I have spoken, many other organizations have spoken. I know the principal signs off for kids to go on March of the Living. When that incident happened and everybody started bullying this guy on the internet, which he did say something very wrong. I'm not excusing his behavior, but what it kind of taught me about some of the people in our community in that situation was, we've all been in the school 1,000 times. You mean this man didn't feel comfortable enough to call any one of us before he sent the email? And exactly what you said. Let's have a conversation with someone before we cancel them, because if this man had learned, wouldn't he be a much more effective teacher? And the truth is, he probably didn't hate Jews before, but he lost his job. We made fun of him on the internet. He definitely hates us now.
I'm the problem. That's me. No, I obviously believe in education. It's what I do. I go into classrooms. I primarily speak to non-Jewish students. I'm going to a school next week that is not Jewish.
Yeah.
That is where I think the work is. And relating it to just humanity in general is so important, so that people aren't like, oh, the Jews are this separate thing. It's like, no, we are all this, minorities in many ways, and let's come together and let's support each other and let's learn about each other's culture. And I
So important.
can't be so insular in that way.
Yeah.
We also have to be more open to other cultures. I hate to say it.
Bingo.
I think that we should do more to support and bring in other allies.
To your point, like real, genuine relationship building, not like, oh, it's your culture's month, so we did an event together, check on the list, and see you next March.
I want to see the Black-Jewish Alliance, how it used to be.
Yeah.
We lost it.
Yeah.
In many ways. Now it's starting to come back.
Yeah.
Beautifully.
You should
more.
You should look up, back in the day, there was something called BASIC, the Black American Support Israel Committee.
Love that.
They took out a full page ad in the New York Times and basically said that like Jewish people have the right to self-determination. And what's sad is, and like, I don't know if I say this to you, but like in a time where you have people like Kanye West and Candace Owens and other influencers who are saying things about our people, it's easy for us to be like, who believes these people? But I'm telling you, I get messages from people who I've grown up with who are like, well, how come the Talmud says da-da-da-da? I'm like, bro, you are not Jewish. I'm impressed you even know what the Talmud is. Like,
Probably don't.
Just because you heard somebody who hates Jews talking about what our sacred texts say, like.
But I also just feel like other minorities are a lot more, I don't know, I don't want to say the wrong thing, but a lot more respected, and they can define what is racist for them, and they can define, let's not define their culture, and let's, not appropriate what their experience is. But I don't feel like we get that same.
We don't.
respect. It's like, no, I don't know what anti-Semitism is. I don't know what anti-Semitism is. It's like people are like, that's not anti-Semitic. And it's like, no, let me tell you as a Jew, what is anti-Semitic. That is anti-Semitic. Yeah. They're like, oh, you just start calling it. It's not. I don't see
it's
it.
a bad double standard.
Yes.
Where I experienced it in college, the anti-Israel group at our school, SJP, I hope Sarah Jessica Parker sues them. Yeah. They brought in someone who denied the Holocaust. And we were a public university. So we went to the Dean of Affairs. We said, for my Stamethist training, like, can you write a letter on school letterhead saying, like, this group has the right to freedom of speech, but you don't endorse the message. He was like, yeah, I'll write the letter. We didn't get the letter. Not even a week later, a professor at my university wrote Jesus on a sheet of paper and stomped on it and asked his students to stomp on it. Oh yeah, it made national news. And immediately the man who promised us the letter and never wrote it made a video consoling the Christian students' feelings on campus that the professor had the right to freedom of speech, but the message wasn't endorsed by the university. And I've kind of found with our group on the East Coast, I know the West Coast is different. I think on the East Coast, you do have well-intentioned people, but they've never been exposed to this stuff. And as a college student, it was uncomfortable at times being a 20-year-old educating the student newspaper on why, not putting free pizza, free Palestine in quotation marks on the school newspaper, like how you're saying that's a view of the university.
But it all I really believe a lot of it comes down to education. I mean, look at how they've been educated the other way.
Yeah.
For decades.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been brainwashed through education. So we just need to brainwash people. No, so no, we need to educate. We have our work cut out. I have to properly educate people on facts.
I think it's education, but I think also what I've really honed in on in a post-October 7th world, I think the most important thing to being a successful advocate, self-confidence. You can learn the facts, you can learn the history, but like going back to what you said at the beginning, if you're not proud as a Jew, if you are not self-confident and being able to say that out loud and wear that, maybe work on the self-confidence piece before you start trying to learn the whole dissertation of the Middle East.
And also it's okay to not know everything. And it's okay to admit that.
I love telling people I had no idea.
You could just be proudly Jewish and be like, I'm proudly Jewish. I believe in Israel's right to exist. I don't fully know the history of it because the history is very complex.
And changing every day.
Yeah. And, I also think that it's okay for other people to, I had a friend reach out and be like, I see a friend hurting. I'm not going to pretend to understand what's happening, but I'd love to sit down for coffee with you and learn.
Yeah.
Will you do that? And we sat for hours.
That's amazing.
She left an ally when she hadn't been. She's like, all I'm seeing is pictures of Palestinian children being murdered. Like, I don't know. And I could easily go that way. But before I do, I want to talk to you because I see your friend hurting. And this was right after October 7th.
That's amazing.
Amazing.
There's so many people who I was like, I would love to sit with you. They just wanted to message me their opinion and that was it. They didn't.
Exactly. But she actually put in the time.
That's phenomenal.
Was willing to learn. And it was amazing. So,
you know what I'll say with the African-American community this summer? I had an opportunity of speaking to all the social workers for the school district of Memphis. And do you remember not a couple weeks ago, it was like over the summer, there was a podcast of like these young Black teens who were like, oh, Hitler had a reason. And we need to do that today. Like we need to, we have a Jewish problem. Right. So I said to all these social workers before I played the clip, I'm like, do you think anti-Semitism still exists in the world?
Oh gosh.
And that was kind of what I thought. But then this one woman raised her hand and she says, as a Black woman, I know that as long as I experience racism, the Jewish people will always experience anti-Semitism. And I was like, oh my goodness. And then I played the clip. And if you would have seen like 120 social workers' faces, horrified. For us, I feel like when you're Jewish, you're in this echo chamber of post.
Another day, another anti-Semitic comment.
Like 100%.
The sky's blue.
Right. So like in our world, we're like, everybody's like heard about this, but then it's like when we go out of our community, I realize like
holy
They're not
shit,
seeing it.
this video hasn't been on any of their social media feeds.
Algorithms. They're
Correct.
different algorithms.
Correct.
That's the problem with social media. The more you view certain content, the more it sends you that content.
Yep.
So my whole feed is Israel and Jewish and Holocaust and some children stuff. So like, that's my content. If you're just focused on beauty, you're going to get that back. You're not seeing anti-Semitic videos.
Right.
So they don't know.
Yeah.
And so I think that it's really important to realize, and good on you for going and doing that. I think that's so powerful.
I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
But if people ask me, do you feel scared to go and wear your jewelry out in public and travel and wearing it? And I said, no.
Yeah.
If the day comes where I'm not hiding.
Yeah.
Hiding. I will not let that happen to me.
Yeah. I'm ashamed to admit this, but last January, I had a trip to the Bahamas, and it was in the middle of like hostage releases.
Yeah.
And I was like, I have this really cute Israel crop top. I was like, I don't know who's going to be in the Bahamas. And I'm ashamed to admit it, but I left the crop top. But then I get to the Bahamas, and what's happening in my hotel? It's Yeshiva week. Every Jew you can imagine from the whole world is there. And when I called one of my late Holocaust survivor friends and told her about the story, she said, Mama, you should always bring it. She said, you should always bring it because better to have it than not need it than to need it and not have it.
Mm-hmm. It's true. That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I fully agree with that. But I get why. And I get why people might travel to the UK and not have their Magen David out. But how sad is that? Because if your crowd wants to say anti-Zionism is not anti-Semitism, then I should be able to wear Magen David and not have it about Israel.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I'll be honest. I'm recently single. I'm in a new apartment, and it's on a very busy street. And my mentor sent me a mezuzah. I have not put it up yet.
can you put it up?
Okay, Mama Amanda.
Monologue.
Yeah, that's exactly.
I have it.
That's what get her. That's literally what she would say.
And you should have
Yeah.
That's going to protect you. But I get it. A lot of people on Halloween, there was a mom chat going around right after October 7th. We had Halloween right after October 7th.
And I consider myself
love my kids up as IDF so badly.
No.
Of course not. But right after October 7th, they were frozen. It was Halloween a couple weeks later. And all the mom chats were like, are you taking down your mezuzah? You know, people are coming over to your house with doorbells. I'm scared. Is someone at your house? Like all like this paranoia. And Andy, my husband and I had a conversation. I said, people are talking about taking down the mezuzah. And we both were like, absolutely not. No way. Absolutely not. And that was the decision we made. And that's what I told everyone, to each his own. I understand if you're concerned for your family's safety, but that's the choice we're going to make.
Yeah.
We're going to, with the
You're right. Your grandparents didn't have the option to have a mezuzah. And we live in a world where we do have that luxury. And what better way to honor them?
I will never let fear drive me. But I understand why it does for other people. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I understand.
I think this is why it's so important to have a tribe, because it's important for other people to like remind you, like, don't be afraid.
I mean, I only hang out with Jews and allies, so it's like we've been here for I love it.
But truly, it's like we've been here for 5,000 years. We've experienced hate in every generation. Like, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? You're going to knock off my mezuzah? Like, you might break in and hurt someone?
There's a lot of there are violent stories, unfortunately, and we've seen
England,
scary. Seeing it rise. We've seen people murdered for being Jewish. I know it is a real threat. I'm not going to sit here and say it isn't.
Yeah.
I think I don't want to let it drive me.
Yeah. I think that's too, like, really important for people to understand that anti-Semitism has always been there, but after October 7th, the anti-Semitism has exploded, and the checks and balances in dealing with it the people who aren't educated in dealing with these issues, it's very easy for them to be like, oh, they're talking about Israel. This isn't racist. Like, we're not going to get involved.
If something that happened in Israel triggered anti-Semitism in the diaspora to increase 400%, you have a Jew hate problem, not just an anti-Zionist problem. That I'm certain of.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that would not have happened.
Yeah.
So they are completely intertwined, anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism.
I think so too. I think so too. And it kind of scares me, the Jewish people of this generation who are like, oh, I'm Jewish, but I'm not a Zionist.
I can't.
It's like the religion wouldn't be here without
Educated.
Israel, you know? So shifting gears a little bit.
Gears.
Yeah. What's the kindest thing someone's ever done for you?
I'm like, I want to shift gears, but also I feel like October 7th is such a pivotal moment in my life that it's really what is kind of on my mind. And so right after October 7th and the shock of honestly October 8th and everyone turning their backs on us.
Yep.
My entire life shifted. My entire social media platform shifted. Immediately, it was about Israel. And I had someone reach out to me who I hadn't been particularly close to.
Mm-hmm.
And she messaged me and just said, it was silent from so many people, silent for weeks. I
that hurt.
A lot of friends.
And you see that they're watching, like you see that they're looking at your story, but no text, no call.
Nothing.
Yeah.
I have family in Israel. I mean, I'm posting every day multiple times about how hurt I am, and I don't have anyone reaching out to me who are friends. And this one girl reached out to me and she said, I'm so sorry that this is happening. I'm with you. If your family ever needed anything, come. She lives a little outside LA. She said, please bring your family to our, they have chickens. I like their farm, and come take a break. And if you ever felt unsafe, you have a safe place here at our home.
We'll hide you.
She said that. I didn't even want to say this. She said, I hate that I have to say this, but we would hide you and your family. That's how much I support you. And I literally said, well, hopefully that's not a thing that ever happens. But I knew what she meant. And she was willing to put her own family at risk to help my family. And in that moment, it meant so much to me because I hadn't heard anything from any one of my friends. And it wasn't just, hey, I support you and I'm here for you. It was beyond that. It wasn't like, I understand what you're going through. Like, this was a horrible event. Like, yes, but it was also, I will do whatever I need for your family if it ever is needed.
So stories like that give you hope.
Yeah.
And reason to really keep going.
Yeah. Also, it was really nice when someone brought me homemade matzo ball soup when we all had COVID.
Oh, how were the balls?
When my whole family got COVID, she came with a big pot of matzo ball soup homemade. That was really nice.
Oh, it's funny you mentioned that. I have built so many relationships with people who if they're not feeling well with Uber Eats, if there's matzo ball soup in the city, I Uber Eats matzo ball soup to them.
My family owns a deli. We have the best matzo ball soup, and on the menu, it's Mandy's matzo ball soup for me.
You're Mandy.
Mandy.
Oh,
Mandy. So
maybe more. Give me more.
Yeah, literally, I'm missing you like candy. That sounds great. So, I do love Factor's matzo ball soup. But hi, Dottie. Oh my God, this looks just like my dog.
This is Hazel.
Hazel, that's my daughter's name.
No way.
It looks just like my dog, and I don't mind them being here at all. I really don't. So your seat has been taken as a new interviewer.
Oh, excellent.
So anyway,
We'll get more views.
it's funny that the dog thing with my daughter's thing.
Come here, Hazel.
You look like Daisy, my dog. Cool. Homemade matzo ball soup was very good. And I'm vegetarian, even though my family owns a deli. I've been vegetarian for like 24 years.
Oh my God.
And she bought me vegetarian waffle. So
Oh, it's the little things.
it's kind. I mean, these are pivotal moments in our life. COVID and October 7th.
Yeah.
So, two kind memories.
But also the fact that like she knew you were a vegetarian. Like how many people would have gotten the matzo ball soup not even thinking about like the chicken being in there?
You know, it's funny. My own mom, after 24 years about being vegetarian, she'll be like, yeah, it's vegetarian. It just has chicken broth. And I'm like, that's not vegetarian.
Oh my God, it's like my big fat Greek wedding.
I know. No, it is.
You'll eat lamb.
Yeah, exactly. It's that. And we'll put Windex on it. But my Aunt Debbie always makes sure there's vegetarian options for me with whatever food we're having. We do a lot of, everything revolves around food. And she always has that. And it's so, like, that is so kind. Just, I think going out of your way and thinking about someone and just letting someone know, like, hey, I thought of you means a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I'll say. It's fine. This is life.
Yeah.
I have 3 kids and 2 dogs. My life is utter chaos. I like to think it's organized chaos, but it's chaos. So this is like nothing for me.
Fair enough. You're right. 2026, reclaiming my voice, standing in authenticity.
This is life. What's more relatable than this for viewers? Like, let's take down the walls. Naked. This is scratching a dog's tush right now, and it's so happy. Why?
Oh, life is good. They are the best medicine animals.
Yeah. When my dad was in the hospital, I got my dog like service qualified and would bring her and just like put her in bed, and it's in the hospital bed.
And it just like changes like their spirit.
Yeah, no,
completely.
It's amazing. I don't understand people that don't like dogs. Very sus.
They're the best. So I guess to wrap it up, I'm curious.
So much we could talk about.
Yeah.
Fun.
So to wrap it up, I'm curious. Since October 7th, has there been like a conversation or like a chance for you to make an impact that like really surprised you how it turned out?
There's a couple. Definitely the girl who reached out to me and said, I'm not going to pretend to understand what's happening. I just see a friend hurting. I'd love to meet for coffee. I went and met with her. And again, I knew her from entertainment, both actors. And now I lost a lot of that community. So it meant a lot that she reached out. And we met for coffee, lunch for 3 hours. And I explained everything that had happened on October 7th. I explained the history. I talked about Black-Jewish Alliance a lot.
Right.
About how Martin Luther King marched with the Jews. I mean, and the rabbis. I talked a lot about this with her because she's a Black woman. I'm a Jewish woman. Let's find our commonality.
Exactly.
That was my in. And we talked about BLM movement and the lack of support after October 7th and the parachute imagery and so many, like the resistance that came, like their messaging of how resistance is okay, justifying October 7th and the lack of support there. So I found like those were my ins with her to better relate it. And she was so receptive, and we left that lunch with a huge hug and her just saying, you have an ally in me. And I'm still going to be learning. I'm a work in progress, but you have an ally regardless of what's happening.
How do you deal with people who you educate, but then like along the way, you're like, wait, why are you wearing a ceasefire pin at this Hollywood event? Like when we've spoken like at length about XYZ, like,
I mean, the ceasefire now, social media, though, no, all eyes on Rafa.
yeah.
Ugh, that was rough because I had a lot of friends who hadn't posted anything and supporting the Jewish people, and
then that's their first post.
Their first post.
That's why the Jewish people got so upset with Miss Rachel, by the way, was that the issue was you're posting about like all of these children in Gaza, but you didn't also mention the Israeli children. And then by the time you accused us of like being racist and hateful when we all admire you. We think you're very talented, but we were just pointing out that you are not being inclusive of all.
I know my kids like that. As they were watching it, I'm like, turn it off.
I called one of my friends. He's a 101-year-old Holocaust survivor, and I said, "What do I do?" His name is Jack Waxel. He's in Miami. I have a lot of interesting survivors you'd like to meet in Florida, but I called Jack. I said she's like the Elvis Presley of education. I said, I really respect her. I really admire her. But I said to her, no one is saying anything about this. And should I say something? And he's like, Raina, of course you say something. You have to say something. So I messaged Elaine Chaya, a mutual friend of ours, and I had never made an Israel reel before. Like I had been on Fox, like talking about the situation, but I messaged Elaine and I'm like, I can't believe nobody is talking about this. Like we need to do something. And this goes back to why it's important to have a tribe, because literally, this is why it's important to have a tribe, because literally she was like, you know, come here. She was like, this is how you do it. You know, here's what I'm going to say. Like, here's what like you should wear. And it was like, you know, for me, I'm an educator. I've had to learn how to be a content creator.
Yeah,
but
same.
by messaging someone like Elaine, she really gave me the confidence of like, hey, like we can do this together and like let's put it out there.
We have to uplift.
And not that anyone should have like, you know, a claim to fame, but Elaine and I were the first people on the internet to raise awareness about what was going on with Miss Rachel's feed. Just what you have coming up.
I feel like there's a lot coming up and my head has been spinning. I'm that emoji with the spinning eyes.
Yeah.
Because there's so much I want to do, but I'm also juggling being a mother of 3 children and I'm an Uber driver. Not really. But,
Pick up, drop off.
respect to the Uber drivers, but I'm not actually an Uber driver. I just live in my car. My office is my car. I'm going from activity to activity, see you drop off, being a music class, this, like it doesn't end. And my regular work and
How do you balance both? Because I'm over here being like, I'm complaining about having to learn how to create content and educate, and that's a full-time job. How in the world are you teaching and posting and mothering
You know,
and wifing?
I definitely go through
Like, do you burn out?
moments. Yeah. And I feel like when you're so, like, you can't give everything 100%.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm pulled in different directions and it's really hard. And I'm only able to give my kids 25% of me. And I'm already split between 3. And I'm like, I want to give them 100% of me. So I need to be better about, you know, really turning off my phone. But it was so hard in the beginning. I felt like a night crawler after October 7th.
I called my sunroom at my old house the war room.
Yeah.
I would wake up, I wouldn't even shower. I would wake up and I would just go in there and sit in there all day.
And I was unavailable to my kids. I was in the middle of the night checking the news. I wasn't sleeping. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. So I think now I've gotten the balance down a little better, but some days are harder than others because then a lot will happen in the news and I feel an obligation to say something. But recently I've kind of released that obligation. I've really released a lot of
Tabla always
in
comment.
the last like month or two. But I think I had this moment of like, I have this baby and she's getting, like, time is going really, really fast. And I don't want to miss out on anything right now because I'm consumed by my phone. And I get so concerned with the followers and making sure they're staying because what if I'm not creating content? And it just, you know, I would spend hours on a post and then like it didn't do well. And I'm like, why did I just do that? And then I'll write one sentence on a post, on a white post, and that gets 3 million views.
Yep.
So I'm like, what does that tell me?
We start equating it with self-worth unintentionally.
No, I mean, like I don't need to be putting in hours.
Yeah.
I just putting one thought might be enough.
Yeah.
And so I've been popping in and out more, whereas I used to be on there available all the time. I'm now like, okay, I'm on vacation for a week and I'm not posting.
How do you feel in the shit? Was it weird at first? Like,
Yeah,
were you
really
reaching?
Anxious.
Yeah.
Really anxious that I wasn't putting out content and people were going to lose interest. And I've also been struggling with my content, you know, because I want to post things about a mom, but I'm also posting about Israel and posting about Jewish and posting about Holocaust. I'm like, what do my followers want? And I sometimes will just be like, this is who I am. I'm not one thing. And you might be coming here for Israel content. You might be coming here for mother content. You might be coming here for photos. Like, I'm going to have photos of my kids and we're going to be on vacation. And yeah, that doesn't mean I don't care about what's happening in Israel. It means I'm a very 3-dimensional person like most people. And this is my life. This is really me. And I think that more and more I'm leaning into that is like, if you don't want to follow me, leave.
Then don't.
But if you're a mom who's pro-Israel and Jewish or an ally and is wanting to learn more and also want to see that I'm a mom with kids and juggling it all, like, then it's the space for you.
Exactly.
But if you're only looking for go follow a news, a news page.
Yeah.
That's not, I was trying to be that in the beginning. I'm not that. That's not who I am.
Exactly. There's other people who serve that. I think for you, like your true power is like your storytelling and your ability to connect with kids and your family history. But the way, I think something that you and I have in common is we're able to take something very complex and in some situations taboo, but talk about it in a way where we are kind and relatable, and we're not preaching to anyone that you have to be a Zionist, but we want you to know what the definition is so that when you see a sign that says Zionism is racism, there is nothing racist about Jewish people having a home.
I just want to,
We didn't always have
for
one.
me, it's just all about human connection. And that's my goal in this world, and making it a better place for my children, my grandchildren, and so forth and so forth. Like Lador Gador, I want it to be good and raise proud Jews, little Zionists, and feel I did my work. I want to look back and know I did everything I could, not feel like I was silent. We don't have that option. I won't stand by silently. I refuse to be silently see what happened when the world was silent. And I can't do that. That's an obligation. And I'm proud to have that obligation. What am I working on? This I didn't tell you. More speaking engagements, more educating with children, getting in schools, doing that, really prioritizing that. But also I'm working on 2 different podcasts. One is about being a Jewish mom and what that means right now. And it's going to be fun and quirky and chaotic and relatable. And it's me.
I like that.
It's me and Jewish mom energy and what that means, and being proud, but also being real, like real conversations with being a modern Jewish mother.
That sounds way more fun than having to
fun.
commentate on every single update that comes out of Israel.
Fun and funny and silly and relatable. And then I'm working on another more serious one about how you go through trauma and come out on the other side into the light. So through this darkness and how you overcome it and what that resilience looks like, and a spiritual journey. And it will at first focus on October 7th. Survivors and families related to it and going through trauma and how they connected spiritually and came out of it and found that light. And eventually I'd like it to continue with other forms of trauma. I like have the opportunity to go to Nigeria and focus on the Nigerian Christians and really see what their lived experience is, and just show different parts of humanity and how we connect and how we come out of it and find resilience. Continue putting one foot in front of the other.
Like real unity in our diversity.
Shared humanity.
Yeah.
And we're all kind of going through that same truth.
I think at the end of the day, it's like people want to be seen.
Yep.
They want like their challenges to be understood. Yeah. And kind of like your story with like the soup or, letting someone be at your house, like people really want to feel that they're supported. And oftentimes, like, I think one of the biggest lessons I got from you today is sometimes like showing someone that you support them is, it doesn't have to be like a gift or like a fancy thing. It's just like really showing that person that like what they do and who they are matter.
Yes. It's like, hey, I got you, Mamala. I got you. Human connection. I'm here for me. And I think that really connecting, because we're in this phone a lot of we're not connecting, but like really connecting.
It's so true.
Yeah.
So true. So last story, full disclosure, I went to Factor's Deli yesterday, and at the end of my lunch, I asked if Amanda's father was there. I should have said, is Mandy's dad here? And they said no, but her aunt is here. So yesterday I met Amanda's Aunt Susie, who has graciously adopted. She said that she will be my LA mentor, which is so exciting. She couldn't have been like more nice. And it's just when they say that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, it's like really, really a blessing that you have such an amazing family filled with like so many kind individuals, and that you guys do so much for the community. It's not like you're just this institution who's been around. It's like, no, like you guys are really involved in a lot of people's like memories, and some of their toughest days over the years. Y'all's soup has
Really, I mean, chicken soup for the soul, right? I mean, we go to every shiva, of our every life event. We're there to support people. Jewish people need food. We need good comfort food, and we're here to deliver. And I think that's so important. I think that's why we're such a pillar of the community, and why people have come back for 4 generations at this point.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, and it means a lot. I mean, I think growing up, my dad always said, "You treat the busboy as you treat the owner."
Yeah.
I live my life that way. That's the shared humanity. It doesn't, and that's my lesson from the Holocaust as well. Is humanity is humanity, and what that was the worst, ugliest side of humanity. And how do we move forward and create a better world for all of humanity? The Jews, yes, and we have to prioritize ourselves because we're always prioritizing everyone else. We have to prioritize ourselves, but also we need to include others. And
we need to take care of others.
Yeah, that's how I was raised, and also treating people the same, no matter if you want to call it a higher. It doesn't matter. From the boss to the busboy, it's you treat the busboy like the boss.
Yeah.
That's what you do. No one is worth more than anyone else.
Yeah.
We're all here, just humans living on this earth
Yeah.
in a short, finite amount of time, and we need to respect each other. And that's how I was raised. So
I love that.
I just think that's been a big part of my life comes down to humanity.
That's
Whether it's
amazing.
through soup or through words or through support, that's what it's about.
That's fabulous. Amanda, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. 2026.
Welcome back.
Here we go.
This was so nice.
And that, folks, is a wrap. Oh, no, I didn't hit record. I'm just kidding. I did.
Just kidding.